Welcome back to another opportunity to do three things together: to learn, to grow, and to evolve, so that we may have this experience with ourselves where we are clearer in ourselves, where we are more confident in ourselves, and we are just having an overall better life experience. And this is trickling into our relationships, our work, our leisurely activities, and our normal daily lives, so that we have a larger capacity to experience the beautiful aspects of life past the anxiety.
Boom.
That's why we're here today. And today we are diving into one of my favorite tools and probably the easiest to practice, and that is the first step of cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as conscious breathing. That's it, breathing. Our breath is such a strong tool for shifting an anxious reaction from that fight or flight mode into a rest or digest mode. But we have to do this breathing consciously. And that is the first step of the cognitive behavioral therapy practice that I am practicing daily and that I talked about in last week's video. You could find that above and also below. And this is an exercise where we can catch ourselves in an anxious moment, in an anxious trigger, and turn it into an opportunity to consciously respond so that we're not running on autopilot and we can create habits, core beliefs, and positive, healthy emotional regulation and stress responses that are helping us rather than hurting us. But number one thing here is that breath is the first step for a reason. When we find ourselves triggered, right, we can start at a level 1 anxiety and take whatever that trigger was and quickly get caught up in a negative feedback loop where we went from a level 1 anxiety and snowballed to a level 3 anxiety and into a level 5 anxiety and so on. What I like to call the negative feedback loop or anxious rabbit hole. We get caught up in that thought and it snowballs to the point where we could have been pretty good at a level 1, and then now we're at a level 9 and we're just so caught up in that reaction, in the emotions around whatever that trigger was. And breathing is helpful because when we are caught up in that negative feedback loop, when we are caught up in that anxiety, is we get to interrupt that nervous system reaction, right? Because we can notify, we could signal to our nervous system that actually we're not in a survival situation. We're safe. And because we're safe, we can relax, we can sit back, and we can change our perspective of whatever that trigger was that put us in a reactive state in the first place. Because now our cognitive ability and our clarity is back online, right? The oxygen is flowing to our prefrontal cortex, whereas it wasn't being prioritized before. So now we could see things clearly, we can make better decisions, and we could see things for what they truly are instead of getting caught up in that negative feedback loop. That's where breathing comes in. Because when we do that full breath into our belly and that slower breath into our belly, it is notifying our nervous system that actually we could switch from a sympathetic fight or flight mode into a parasympathetic nervous system reaction of rest and digest, or my personal favorite, feed and breed nervous system reaction. Feed and breed is a funny one because when we are relaxed, right, we can digest again, that's been prioritized, and we are relaxed so that we can connect with other people, feel safe, and we could have sex and feel safe. You're not gonna have a sexual experience in a fight or flight survival mode, right? That's most likely not gonna be your priority. I mean, I don't know what you're into, but for me at least, I know that I want to be relaxed in those moments. And so feed and breed is another way of saying rest and digest. And this type of nervous system status of rest and digest allows us to have a much clearer perspective on whatever that trigger was, so that we can then go into step 2 of cognitive behavioral therapy and recognize things from a place of objectivity so that we can alchemize it into a response to that trigger that we want, so that we can change how we are responding or change how we are reacting to anxious things in our life, right? That's so important. And paired with this breath, something that I also studied when I was studying psychology in college is something called visualization. Visualization is extremely cool because more and more research has come out that our brain lights up in visualization the same way that it would light up as if we were actually experiencing whatever we're visualizing in real life, right? So our brain lights up the same exact way whether we are visualizing it or experiencing it in real life. I think that is absolutely incredible. And so visualization has the ability to also relax our nervous system because we can visualize ourselves in a safe setting. That is huge. So my therapist, when I was really acquiring cognitive behavioral therapy, told me to visualize myself breathing in, right? Because we're pairing these together. Visualize myself breathing in a positive state. So I would breathe in confidence. I would breathe in joy. I would breathe in strength. Whatever I wanted to choose at that point in time, I would breathe that in and imagine a color to pair with it. So I associate like a bright yellow color with confidence. So I would breathe in this bright yellow energy into every cell in my body, feeling that confidence while breathing and oxygenating my whole system. And on the way out, in my exhale, I would breathe out the things that I don't want anymore. I would breathe out the fear, I would breathe out the doubt, and I would breathe out the insecurities. And associated with those things is a much more murky, darker kind of color, a darker energy that I am breathing out, right? And this whole practice is really just training our mind, our nervous system, and our whole body to come out of that reactive fight or flight state and into a much more relaxed, confident state so that we can go about whatever this trigger was with confidence and respond to it the way that we want to, right? This practice has been revolutionary for me, and I tell you, I literally practice cognitive behavioral therapy every day. And even when I'm not doing cognitive behavioral therapy, I'm practicing breathing. Like not just, normal breathing, but I'm practicing consciously breathing into my belly so that I can make that a habit for myself, so that I can consistently come to life from a state of being rested and digested, ready to feed and ready to breathe, right? That is huge. Now, to give you an idea of how this breathing actually looks, I figured we can just do a little bit of the practice ourselves. So if you have the opportunity, you could be standing, you could be sitting, whatever, in line at Starbucks or at your office in between, meetings for work. We can just sit, pause, and do this practice together, or you can go forward and check out the next few chapters of the video. Once you pause what you're doing, I want you to just take a few deep breaths in through your nose and deep into your belly. Feeling that breath really come into your belly, feeling the sensation of your belly expanding, and when you're breathing out, coming back out your nose again, and just really letting that breath go. Getting rid of that energy. So it looks like this. And when you're doing this practice, you'll start to feel your shoulders might come down a little bit. Your body will become less tense. Your thinking will become a little bit slower. And your voice, right, like my voice right now, is becoming slower and a bit softer, right? You'll start to see how this deep belly breathing actually comes out in physical manifestation, in physical reality. And on the next few breaths, I want you to associate a state that you want to breathe in with a color And I want you to visualize that state and color just permeating every cell in your body and really adopting that state, right? Making it your primary state. So if you want to breathe in confidence and you want to breathe in the color, yellow with that confidence, breathe it in and just imagine it hydrating every part of your body. Feel it, really feel the sensation of breathing that in. And on the exhale, imagine yourself breathing out and just kind of collecting all of that gook that you don't want anymore, that fear, that doubt, and that insecurity, whatever was associated with that trigger, and breathe out all of that color, all of that state, so that it's like you're taking the garbage out. You don't want it anymore. You're done with it. If you feel more comfortable breathing out your mouth on the exhale, you could do that also. Both work. And do that a few times for yourself. You can even pause the video and just practice this for a few minutes, right? And when we're doing this first step, right, of cognitive behavioral therapy, sometimes it could take a few minutes, right? Sometimes it could take just 30 seconds. It's up to you, and you'll feel when the right time is to kind of be done with it. You'll feel a little bit more relaxed. You'll feel a little bit more clear-headed than you were when you became reactive to whatever that initial trigger was that sent you kind of into a tizzy, right? And you could practice this as many times as you want. You could practice it without cognitive behavioral therapy. I practice deep belly breathing before bed so that I could just relax my whole system and get a nicer sleep and just get to bed quicker, right? So I hope that this is really beneficial to you. And as always with all of my videos, I also like to include resources. I have not read this book yet, but it has been highly recommended from many of my friends because it talks about how breathing affects every system in our body, physically, mentally, emotionally. And it also provides different breathing exercises so that you can practice and see which ones work better for you and that you like more, right? You could find the link for it down below so you can grab it right now. Again, I have not read it yet. It's called Breathe by James Nestor, and its subtitle is called The New Science of a Lost Art, because our breath is always with us, right? It's a tool that we always have and have had since the beginning of time. And as always, if you have questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below so we can start a conversation, or perhaps just message me directly on one of my social media platforms, which you can also find the links for down below. And we are learning, we are growing, and we are evolving together. That's what we are here to do. If this video and my other content has been something that is beneficial to you, a subscription goes a really long way, as well as a like, because not only is it helping me with feedback, but it's also helping me to get this message out to more people so that we can have more people learning, growing, and evolving with us, right? Because we're one big community of people who are just trying to elevate our quality of life and elevate the consciousness of our society, of our community. Because a happier person is a kinder person. And I know I say this every time, but a kinder society is a society that I personally want to live in. And I think it can benefit a lot of us right now. So I wish you the best on your journey. We are slowly but surely reaping the rewards every time that we show up for ourselves. Much love to you, and I will see you in the comments down below or in the next video. Let's learn, grow, and evolve together.